first came in contact with the micro vegetable powder about 3.5 years ago, when our dog Maggie, a white English lab, had been diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. And she was the #1 person in the family, and everyone was greatly upset. And I got introduced to Brud Hodgkins, who said he had some powder that other vets had been using that was very good in working with dogs that were sick, or dogs that did not have immune systems, perhaps because of their diet. We put Maggie on a teaspoon in the beginning, and she actually began to walk. The bottom line is she lived 2.5 years with an inoperable lung cancer. And during that period of time, I was so impressed. I was about 278 pounds, literally walking with a cane or a walker, because I had 2 arthritic knees, both of which swelled and had a terrible swelling that made it almost impossible to walk, and had to have both knees replaced, which I did at the same time. So I started the powder about 2.5 months prior to the operation, and the inflammation began to leave the knees. The knees began, well, the arthritis was still there. The knees were in much better shape. I had a double knee operation. 3 weeks later, I was in a car driving 90 miles to one of my clients, working a full day with double knee replacements, no inflammation, no pain, right into therapy. I was taking at the time about 600 milligrams of Celebrex a day, and it was eating my liver. I do not take Celebrex and haven't since we did the knees. Now, as we move along, I continued to take the powder. I've increased the powder to about 2 teaspoons in the morning, 2 teaspoons in the late afternoon. 2 things happened. One is I lost my craving for sugar, which also is alcohol. And secondly, I began to lose weight and felt good enough to get back in shape. About 7 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with heart failure. I had stenosis of the aortic valve. It was closed 45%. It was said to have been the size of a dime, and it should have been the size of a silver dollar. So I just kept trucking along, actually kept eating, and couldn't understand why I couldn't recover from working out, but I just kept trucking until they finally put me down with an echocardiogram and said I had about 20 pounds of fluid. July 6th, the Tuesday after the 4th of July, I had the aortic valve replaced with a bull valve, and I had about a 3-inch aneurysm that had grown to about 5.2 centimeters from 2.8 centimeters that had been backed up because of the blockage, clipped out and cleaned up. 4 days later, I was out of the hospital. I never had a nurse at home. I have not yet gone to rehab, but I work out 3 times a week with my trainer. I walk 2.5 miles a day. I've lost another 10 pounds in the last 5 weeks. Now I'm supposed to go to rehab week after next, 6 weeks or so after the operation. I don't think I'm going to make that show, but I will tell you this: if I miss a morning or a noon of that powder, that magical green powder, I can feel it. I can feel the tiredness. My oxygen rate is 98%. My infraction rate is 67%. My pulse rate is 58%, and my blood pressure is 128/78. So therefore, I was walking within 2 weeks after the operation. Now, this is all anecdotal. I'm not a scientist. I don't have a lot of reports from many hospitals, but my mind is so clear that I can have this conversation without reading it or practicing it or anything else. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.